it. That's the one more. Right. All right.
Alhamdulillah. I only had it on my microphone. Oh, good. You need to know if somebody asking questions on here. You taking questions off of here?
Just leave it the way it is. I think Saeed might be like, answer some
all right.
questions.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم الحكيم اللهم اجعل هذه المحاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. In continuation of our book, Zaad Al-Mustaqni, the Imam Al-Hajjawi, rahimahullah ta'ala. We haven't had this class in quite some time. This is the third class in Kitab Al-Janaa'iz. The last class that we covered, we spoke about funeral processions, and the last part of it particularly dealt with non-Muslims and visiting, in that part. If you guys are interested, if you missed that, then you might want to go back to class number two on Kitab al-Janaa'iz, or Book of Funerals. With regards to today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to continue with the part of washing the deceased. This subject is very important, as it is a subject and an issue that no Muslim, either you're going to learn about it or it's going to be done to you. It's going to be done to all of us, inshallah, sooner or later. It's important to have some knowledge of this subject. Even if you don't plan on doing it, you may be in a position where you have to. And no one around you knows how to do it. At least you can say, I have some knowledge pertaining to that issue. Even if your knowledge may not be a lot, but it's enough that you might be able to get through it if there's no one else that knows more than you on that particular issue. So we're going to start, inshallah ta'ala, with the statement of Imam Al-Hajjawi. He starts off this particular section وَإِذَا أَخَذَ فِي غُسْلِهِ سَتَرَ عَوْرَتَهُ وَجَرَّدَهُ وَسَتَرَهُ عَنِ الْعُيُونِ. The first thing here, and I want everyone to think for a second, a deceased is in front of you. Rahimahullah, rahimahullah. They're in front of us right now. What is upon us? They're dead. It's time to wash their body. They still may have their clothing on them, etc. It says, وَإِذَا أَخَذَ فِي غُسْلِهِ. If you start by washing, when you start washing the deceased, سَتَرَ عَوْرَتَهُ. You're going to make sure that their awrah is always covered. Their awrah is always covered. For the man, from the navel to the knees, and for the woman, her body. In this case, when you start, you're going to start by covering the awrah, وَجَرَّدَهُ, and you're going to take the clothing off. You're going to take the clothing off, but have a sheet over them, meaning covering their private areas. عَنِ الْعُيُونِ, make sure that private areas are covered from the vision of the people around them. And this is important. وَيُكْرَهْ لِغَيْرِ مُعِينٍ فِي غُسْلِهِ حُضُورُهُ. When people pass away, there are some people, they put in their wills, I want Fulan and Fulan. I want Abdullah and Abdulaziz to wash my body. And that means that it is hated for anyone outside of those particular people to be in the room when you're washing that body. Is that understood? If a person puts in their will, I want this person and that person, 3 people they mentioned, then it is the duty of the person who carries out the will to get in contact with those people and have those people wash the body, not the people that are in charge of that affair in a particular masjid or what have you. Is that clear? A person's will supersedes anything else.
One question. So you can have more than one person washing your body?
You can have whoever you want to wash your body. You can stipulate that in a person's will. There's no number that I'm aware of that says you can only have 2 people or 3 people, etc. Okay? طيب. ويكره لغير معين في غسله حضوره. As we mentioned, whoever name is not mentioned in that particular will, then they should not wash them. But however, if a person doesn't have a will, then that's open, right? There's nothing there. But we're talking about the person who specifically has names written. They have names written out for the purpose of that. ثُمَّ يَرْفَعُ رَأْسَهُ. So once you take that person's clothing off, or his or her clothing off, يَرْفَعُ رَأْسَهُ. You're going to take their body, and you're going to put your hand on their stomach, and you're going to raise their upper torso. You're going to raise the body with your hand on the stomach. قُرْبْ جَلُوسِهِ. As if you're trying to get him to sit up, him or her to sit up. Right? Right. يَعْسِرُ بَطْنَهُ بِرِفْقٍ. And you're going to push the stomach or squeeze the stomach. Not hard, with gentleness, but you're going to squeeze it. This is so that any waste that is there can be removed from the body. Any waste. Now mind you, this person is on a table. It's supposed to be a table that's slanted. When you lift the body up, the waste come out. Usually there's a hose that can wash it down. But then it says, وَيُكْثِرُ صُبَّ الْمَاءِ. And you're going to use a lot of water, as much as you need to continue to press the stomach to get the excrements or whatever from the body, any waste that is in the body. ثُمَّ يَلُفُ عَلَى يَدِهِ خِرْقَةً. Now once that's done, we're going to take 2 sheets or 2 cloths or etc. or rags that's ripped or what have you, and wrap it around your hand. You're going to wrap it around your hand. You're going to have 2 of them. One for cleaning the private areas from the aspect of istinja, if you will. They're going to front, you're going to clean. Obviously, you're going to try not to touch as much as possible, but you're going to clean around that area. And then the second cloth that you use is going to be used to scrub the body or wash the body. وَلَا يَحِلُّ مَسُّ عَوْرَةِ مَنْ لَهُ سَبْعُ سِنِينَ. It is not permissible for anyone to touch the private parts of anyone that is above 7 years of age. So for example, if you're washing a man, you're not going to touch his private area when you're making istinja or cleaning him. Is that clear? You're not going to touch that area. Same thing for the behind. And behind him, then you're going to clean around the area, but you're not going to touch the area in terms of, طيب. وَيُسْتَحَبُّ أَلَّا يَمَسَّ سَائِرَهُ إِلَّا بِخِرْقَةٍ. And it is also recommended that you do not touch the body unless you have something like some type of cloth around the body when it comes to wiping or rubbing over the body. ثُمَّ يُوَضِّيهِ نَدْبًا. And at this point, once that's done, it's sunnah to make wudu for that person. To make wudu of that person. وَلَا يُدْخِلُ الْمَاءَ fi fihi wala fi anfihi. And you are not going to put water in that person's mouth or their nose. You're not going to put water in that person's mouth or their nose. The scholars of the past, they say this is because the possibility of moving around anything that is impure in the mouth or in the nose. For example, maybe it's something that go down to the stomach and cause some more waste to come out if that were to happen. When a person passes away, all the nerves and everything just drops. So usually a person will usually go to the bathroom on themselves, etc. There's nothing to hold it at that point. Nas'Allah as-salamu alayhi. It says, وَيُدْخِلُ أُصْبَعَيْهِ مَبْلُولَتَيْنِ بِالْمَاءِ بَيْنَ شَفَتَيْنِ. And you're going to take your fingers, wet them with the cloth, obviously. You're going to wet them, and you're going to use your finger and put around the mouth and the nose, but you're not going to put water in there. Does that make sense? Moist fingers between the lips, وَيَمُسُّ أَسْنَانَهُ. And you're going to rub the teeth. With that cloth, you're going to take it and rub the teeth, like you're brushing the teeth. وَفِي مَنْخِرَيْهِ أو فِي مَنْخَرَيْهِ فَيُنَظِّفَهُمَا وَلَا يُدْخِلَهُمَا الْمَاءَ. And same thing with the nostrils. You're going to take something around your finger, you're going to put it in the nostrils. وَيَنْوِي غُسْلُهُ وَيُسَمَّى. Once that's done, you're going to make the niyyah for a ghusl for this person. You're going to make the niyyah for... Listen, everything that's it, I don't know what's translated there, but some things we're going to cover and some things we're not. So if you're following in that book, if there's certain things we didn't address, that's because we're not covering that part.
So far, so good.
No, I know. I'm just letting you know, because you're going to, maybe within the next page or so, we're going to come across a section that we're not going to address, and you're going to be confused. So I'm letting you know right now. ولا يدخلهما الماء ثم ينوي غسله ويسمى يغسل برغوة صدر رأسه ولحيته فقط. And at the next area, the next point, once you make the niyyah for a ghusl, and you say Bismillah yusamma, you're going to use, as they call it, a lather from sidr. Sidr is a type of tree, and you're going to use the lather from that to wash the head and the beard. If it's a man, you're going to use that for the hair and the beard. ثم يغسل شقه الأيمن ثم الأيسر. Then you're going to start by washing the right side of the body. And when they say right side of the body, they mean the front of the body and the back of the body for the right side. And likewise, you're going to do the left side. ثم كله ثلاثا يمر في كل مرة يده على بطنه. And every time you wash the right side and the left side, you're going to also come across the stomach. And make sure you continue to press the stomach lightly, because there may be some more waste coming from the body. فَإِن لَمْ يَنْقَى بِثَلَاثٍ زِدْ حَتَّى يَنْقَى وَلَوْ جَاوَزَ السَّبْعَ. Well, let's say, for example, you keep doing this and there's more waste coming from the body, and it exceeds 7 times. And it doesn't matter, you do it as much as necessary so that the waste is gone. You do it as much as necessary so that the waste is gone. وَيَجْعَلُ فِي غَسْلَةِ الْأَخِيرَةِ كَافُورٍ. And with the last ghusl, you're going to apply something called kafur. Kafur is like a type of a scent. And the reason why the scholars say you put this scent on the body is to remove the bugs, etc., from coming to the body and eating. Does that make sense? طيب. ويجعل في غسلة الطيب والماء الحار والأشنان والخلال يستعمل في احتج إليه. And we use hot water and soap if need be. If a person needs, sometimes it may be difficult to get certain things off. If need be, then you can use hot water and soap. However, if you're using hot water on a body, remember that, think for yourself that you don't want the water too hot for your own self. Like you wouldn't put that hot water on your own skin, Think about you putting it on someone else. And same thing, when you're dealing with the body, a person has deceased, you're going to deal with them as if they're alive. Meaning you're going to be careful how you deal with them. You're going to make sure you don't twist their arm a certain type of way, anything like that. Is that clear? طيب. وَيَقُصُّ شَارِبُهُ وَيُقَلِّمُ أَظْفَارُهُ. And so next issue is you're going to trim the mustache if you can. Also, you're going to cut the nails of the person if need be. وَلَا يُسَرِّهُ شَعْرَهُ. And you're not going to comb out the hair, meaning comb it all the way out. Why is that? Some of the ulama say this will cause the hair to fall out. So the goal is not to, let's say it's a woman, for example, you're not going to comb her hair all the way out so that perhaps the hair falls all out. It's not going to be, that's not what is necessary. ثُمَّ يُنَشَّفُ بِثَوْبٍ. And then you're going to dry. No.
You said we should trim the nails and the fingernails?
Yes.
Toenails too?
Athfar, so the fingers. I'm assuming so. Allah that's a good question. I would assume that. Allah knows best. طيب. وَيُدْفَرُ شَعْرُهَا ثَلَاثَ قُرُونَ. As it relates to women, and men too, the hair is long enough, but as it relates to women, you should braid their hair into 3 rolls. 1 roll on this side, 1 on that side, and 1 in the middle. And if there's any excess hair, you let it go over the back. If there's any excess hair after that, you let it go over the back. وَإِنْ خَرَجَ مِنْهُ شَيْءٌ بَعْدَ السَّبْعِ حُشِّرَ بِكُتْنٍ. And they say that if, let's say for example, after 7 times, now this is according to the fiqh of Imam Ahmed. After 7 times washing the body, over and over, if there's still waste coming from the body, then they say then you cover that area with cotton or something that can prevent it from coming out. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَمْسِكْ بِتِينٍ حُرٍّ. Now, they say if it doesn't stick with that, now during their time they said that you use some type of dirt. But obviously in our time we probably wouldn't need to use dirt. We can use something else. There are many they have many things in place that can stop if people are use the bathroom themselves. There are many things that can be used besides dirt. And Allahu A'lam. طيب. ثُمَّ يُغْسَلُ مَحَلُّ وَيُوَضَّأُ. Then after that point, once that's done, you're going to wash that area, and then you're going to make wudu again for that person. You're going to make wudu again for that person. Some of the scholars differ with regards to that actual wudu, but we're just going to go with the text here. You can make wudu again. وَإِنْ خَرَجَ بَعْدَ تَكْفِينِهِ لَمْ يُعِدْ غُسُلُ. Let's say, for example, we made the ghusl. Now it's time that you kafan. So we wrap him up or her up, and then we find that there's some more waste that comes out after that. Do we have to make the ghusl again? La. We don't have to make the ghusl again. Right. The next issue here, the next part they're going to discuss, what happens if a person is muhram? Does anyone know what a muhram is? What's a muhram? Muhram. What's a muhram?
Comes from the word haram or harma. Maybe they're like they're in a state of like not a physical purity, or maybe they're not Muslim.
Maybe they're not Muslim. Huh?
A person making Hajj or Umrah.
Ahsant. A person making Hajj or Umrah, they're in a state of ihram. They are called muhram. This person is considered to be a muhram. If a person is in a state of ihram, what does that mean? What does ihram look like? Can anyone tell me? Have any of you guys made Hajj or Umrah? What's ihram? What is that? Because there's some people that don't know what that means. What is that? Huh? Are there any rules and regulations associated with ihram?
Yes.
No.
What are they? I know you know. Huh? What are they?
Well, first we gotta you get an ikram when you go into the miqat.
So you get in the ihram when you go to the miqat. The miqat are specific places around Mecca that if you pass those places, you must get into the state of ihram. What is ihram? What is the state of ihram? What does that mean?
The intention.
The intentions for Hajj or Umrah. Is there anything binding on you? Is there anything you should do?
You should do or shouldn't do?
Should and shouldn't.
I know you shouldn't put on any smell good after you get ihram.
Good.
Like fragrance.
So the first thing is, when you get into ihram, you cannot put on any fragrances. That's number one. What else?
Put you on the Quran, you can't.
What is ihram though? What are you putting on?
You put on a cloth.
You put on a cloth. You put on a sheet. How many sheets? Two. So you put on, for the women too?
No.
No. Right, so for the men, they must put on 2 sheets that are not sewed to the body. What does that mean, sewed to the body? Can we sew something to our body? No.
Nothing with stitching.
No stitching. What do they mean by stitching though?
Stitching, zippers.
What do they mean by stitching?
That is more than one piece stitched together.
So if you look at the sheet that you get, if you look at it closely, there might be some stitching in it. Is that what that means?
Yeah, but it's one piece. It's not like a sleeve. So
Ahsant. When they say stitching here, they're talking about something that's not stitched to a body part. You see how this is stitched into a sleeve. They're not talking about that. This part here is impermissible. Well, there. So then, when they're talking about the ihram, there are 2 parts. There's a part for the upper body, and then there's a part for the what? For the lower body. Okay? Once you have both pieces on, we already said that you can't what? You can't put on fragrances. Anything that smells good. That's number 1. What else? You can't clip your nails. You can't cut your hair. Can I put something on my head? Can I put a kufi on? No. So then you can't put anything on your head. What about for a sister? Can she put something on her head? Yes. Can she put something on her face?
Yes.
La.
No, it can't be.
She can't, huh?
She got to get the cob on?
She can't wear niqab. A woman that wears niqab, she can't wear niqab in ihram. Question. How come when I went and made Hajj, I saw sisters and they were making tawaf and they had their faces covered? Explain that.
Was it like because it wasn't tied?
Ahsant. Because it wasn't tied to their face. If a sister is going to wear niqab, then she has to wear something over her face, like draped over her face, but nothing that ties to the head. Nothing that ties to the head.
I got a question about that. Are the sisters able to make Hajj if they're on a menstrual cycle?
Can they make Hajj if they're having their menses? The only thing they can't do during Hajj is make tawaf.
If they're on their menses?
Yes.
Okay.
But if you have something specific, we might want to talk about that later, because there's a lot of detail to that. So, for example, if you're making Hajj, let's say, for example, you arrive in Mecca and you want to do the Umrah and the Hajj together. And when you first get there, your wife, her menses is on, so she obviously can't make the tawaf, but she can make the sa'i. They say, okay, well, make that tawaf, combine it with the tawaf of Hajj. And let's say, for example, Hajj comes, then she can do that tawaf then. There's a lot of different scenarios for that. But we can get sidetracked if we talk about Hajj. So the next one, so then, muhrimun mayyitun. So now we have a muhrim that died. A person that went for Hajj or Umrah, a brother or a sister that went to Hajj or Umrah and they passed away. What is upon them? It says, muhrimun mayyitun kahayyin yughassalu bima'in wa sidrin. The person that is in muhram or in ihram, can they take a shower?
Yes. Take a shower.
You can take a shower if you're in ihram. Can you use soap?
No, not if it's a fragrance.
You can't use soap.
You can't use fragrance.
I said, don't say that, brother.
I said not if it's a fragrance.
Nah, you can use soap. It just can't be fragranced soap. Alright? It has to be a soap with no fragrance to it, but you can definitely use soap. So the ruling for the one who dies while they're in a state of ihram, you are to wash their bodies the same way with sidr, etc. La yuqarrabu tiban, but they do not give them anything that smells. They're not to have any smell goods, if you will. وَلَا يُلْبَسُ ذَكَرًا مَخِيطًا. And if it's a man that passes away, do not put clothing on him that is stitched. وَلَا يُغَطَّ رَأْسَهُ. And do not cover his head. So we would know in Mecca, when we would pray janazas down at the Haram, Masjid al-Haram, you would know, especially during the time, any time of the year, people will make Umrah. So they will take the bodies up to the front near the Kaaba, and you will see people that their whole body is covered, and then when you will look, you'll see some people, their heads are not covered. You will know that those people are what? Are in the state of Ihram. Those people are in the state of Ihram. طيب. وَلَا وَجَّ الْأُنْثَى. And as for a woman, you do not cover her face. So are you saying, let's say for example, in places like Mecca, etc., if the woman, she wore niqab, etc., if she were to pass away, do they have her face out? La. They'll build something over her. So you might see a body, and then you'll see like a little bridge or something built over the face. In this case, usually there are women in those situations. طيب. وَلَا يُغَسَّلُ شَهِيدًا. Now, if a person is in a battle, in a war, right, and they pass away, like say, for example, they're fighting in jihad during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, for example. If a shaheed, a person that died in battle, or maqtulan dhulman, if a person is killed in an oppressive manner, they were oppressed, right? It said in this case, إِلَّا أَن يَكُنْ جُنُبًا لَا يُغَسَّلْ, that you do not give them a ghusl. When they pass away, you do not wash their bodies. You do not wash the bodies. It says, rather, يُدْفَنُ فِي ثِيَابِهِ بَعْدَ النَّزْعِ السِّلَاحِ. Rather, they are buried in the clothes that they have on. They are buried in the clothing that they have on. They are buried, وَلَا يُصَلَّ عَلَيْهِ, and that they are not prayed over. You just skip the portion. And that they are not prayed over. So they say, why are they not prayed over? Because Allah mentioned that those people are living, they're not dead. Because they're living, they're not considered dead. طيب. We're going to move to another section. It says, وَالْسِقْطُ إِذَا بَلَغَ أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْهُرٍ. So the next issue here, we're talking about stillborn. Let's say, for example, a sister, she's pregnant, and her child is stillborn. It happens. Maybe after 4 months. So it says, وَالْسِقْطُ إِذَا بَلَغَ أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْهُرٍ غُسِّلَ وَسُلِّيَ عَلَيْهِ. If, let's say for example, a woman is pregnant and she has a stillborn after 4 months. That makes sense? It's possible. Sorry. She has a stillborn after 4 months. If her pregnancy is 4 months, and she has the child at that point in time, that child is washed and prayed over. The child is washed and prayed over. As we find in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, Al-Siqtu yusalla alayh wa yud'a liwalidayhi bil maghfira wa rahmah. Rawahu Ahmed wa Abu Dawud. In this hadith, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said the stillborn is prayed over, and you are to make dua for his or her parents with forgiveness. Ask Allah to forgive them and for mercy. And they say in this case, in sahla, yani if you're going to pray over the stillborn, obviously if you're able to wash the body, etc. Sometimes we never know what condition the body could be in. Right. And this last part here, وَمَنْ تَعَذَّرَ غُسْلُهُ يُمِّمَّ. If it is difficult to make the ghusl for someone, then you make what? A tayammum. You make tayammum for that deceased. You make tayammum for that deceased. And the last part here, which is important, it says, وَعَلَى الْغَاسِلِ. As for the one who was washing the body, سَتْرُ مَا رَآهُ مَنْ إِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ حَسَنًا. Let's say, for example, you're washing a body. And while you're washing this body, you see something that you don't like on the body. You see anything, that you don't think is nice, and you tell someone. This is impermissible. This is why, if you remember, when we first started this lecture, we mentioned that it is hated for anyone who's to wash the body if their name is not mentioned in the will that they want this person to wash the body. Is that clear? So for example, a brother may say, I want Abdullah Muhammad to wash my body. He passes away, and the people that are in charge, maybe the people that work at the funeral home or the masajid or the Islamic centers or whatever, they say, no, they don't know what they're doing. We got it. We'll take care of it. Not educate them. If they don't know, educate. You teach them. As long as there are people that know, then you tell them what to do. You should not be in the room unless if you need to be in the room, then try to be as far away from the body as possible and give direction if need be. But respect that person's will. Yes.
Question is, is anybody else allowed in the room while the people who are in the will or whoever it is washing the body?
There's no need to.
Okay.
What would be the point?
Like say for example, you might have a person, parents, I want to see what y'all doing. They might be non-Muslim.
They shouldn't be in the room.
Okay.
They shouldn't be. I'm not saying it's haram for them to be. I'm saying they shouldn't be. If they want to see the person, then maybe before you start the ghusl process. You understand? But when you guys go in there and you start the ghusl, to make the ghusl or, all that, and they should be out. They shouldn't be in there with that person now.
So if you got the 2 or 3 people that's supposed to be watching, is it permissible for your wife to be there? Like if your wife, like you and your wife talking.
So we covered.
That part?
Yeah. In the last class we covered, can a husband wash his wife or vice versa? Honestly, there's some difference of opinion in that. You might say, well, what's the difference of opinion? That was your wife. Some of the ulama, they mentioned that this woman, she is your wife while you're living. As soon as someone passes away, that contract is over. That contract ends. And once that contract is over, whatever remains from that contract would be what? Inheritance. So she would get, if you guys have children, she would get her 1/8 or whatever you own, and that's it. And Allah knows best. There's difference of opinion on that. But, there is a position that once the deceased passes away, the contract is over. We understand that marriage is a contract. It's not a contract after death, it's a contract while you're living. And so some of them probably would equate that to a business deal. If somebody reneges on a contract or somebody passes away, that contract is now what? Null and void. So some of them may look at it that way. But I believe we spoke about that in the last lecture. If not, then we can talk about it again, just not right now. Okay. So we find from Imam al-Bahuti, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says something very interesting about this case in the Muslims in general. And so he says, rahimahullah, he says, وَيَجِبُ عَلَى الْغَاسِلِ سَتْرُ مَا رَوَاهُ مِنَ الْمَيِّتِ. If you see anything that is not pleasing to you from the deceased, then you are to cover it. And لَمْ يَكُنْ حَسَنًا. Obviously, فَيَلْزَمُ سَتْرُ الشَّرِّ. So if you see something that is evil, something that you don't like from that person, then you are to cover it up. meaning you're not to reveal it. And it says, La izhar khayr. However, if you see something good, like for example, a brother or a sister, you wash their body and they had a smile on their face, that can be something of encouragement to another Muslim. If it's something that is good that you witness, then there's no harm in revealing something that is good. And then he says, وَنَرْجُ لِلْمُحْسِنِ. And those who are upright people, we hope for them that which is best. And he says, وَنَخَافُ عَلَى الْمَسِيءِ. And we fear for the evildoers, the ones who did corruption on earth. وَلَا نَشْهَدُ إِلَّا لِمَنْ شَهِدَ لَهُ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And he said, and we don't bear witness that anyone will be in paradise. And this is a tremendous Aqidah issue for the Muslims. It's very important. We don't say that anyone is in the paradise or the hellfire, but here it's talking about the paradise, except for whoever the Prophet ﷺ said will be in paradise. So for example, we can't look at a brother or a sister and say, MashaAllah, they're in Jannah right now. You know how some non-Muslims say, such and such is in heaven looking down. They're in paradise. No, we don't say that. We make dua for them. We pray that Allah gives them that, but we do not know what their affair will be. And this is very important. And it says, وَيَحْرَمُ سُوَ الذَّنْبِ مُسْلِمْ ظَاهِرَ الْعَدَالَةِ. And he said, and it is haram. Pay attention to this, because you may hear some ulama may say something that is different. However, this was a statement from one of the scholars of the past. He said, يَحْرَمُ سُوءُ ذَنْبِ مُسْلِمْ ظَاهِرُ الْعَدَالَةِ. He said, it is haram to have evil thoughts about your Muslim brother if you see them and they look like they're doing the right thing. Haram. It's haram to have evil thoughts about your Muslim brother or sister if you see what is apparent from them that they are upright and straight. This is not my statement. This is a statement of Imam al-Buhuti, rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, it is haram. Unfortunately, we live in a society where we have evil thoughts of Muslims. If you don't pray with me, if you don't do this, Then he says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ ظَنَّ الْخَيْرِ بِالْمُسْلِمِ. And it is highly recommended that you have good thoughts of your Muslim brother or sister. This is written in the past, not right now. It is haram to have evil thoughts of your Muslim brother. If you see them, apparently they look like it. Pray, fast, mashallah. And it is highly recommended that you have good thoughts of them. It is highly recommended that you have good thoughts. And so I found that it's fitting. We're going to end the class with that statement right there. Both of y'all looked at the clock. If you guys have any questions, we open the floor, inshallah. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know. I'm not going to make anything up. Now, I thought you raised your hand. Yeah. Anybody else?
I had a question, but it ain't pertaining to this. I mean, pertaining to Janaa'iz, but it's not pertaining to the washing of the body. What about, we allowed to have eulogies?
A eulogy?
Yeah.
Allah.
Okay.
A viewing? Like, can you see the body? When the Prophet, ﷺ, when he died, the companions, they came in the house and they looked at him. Some kissed him on his head, etc. So there's, yeah.
So it's basically before they take the body away, because, I mean, that's a good question, because a lot of times nowadays, you hear about Muslims passing away, and they hold viewings for their non-Muslim family. And
Like, is that, so the question now is it haram for the non-Muslims to see their family before you wash their body, or like?
No, you know how they have a viewing in church.
Right.
View the body, then they had the ceremony. Now it's
We're talking about in the church or with the Muslims?
with the Muslims, because
What ceremony?
no, you understand? They basically mixing oil and water, so they might have a viewing of the body for the Muslim person who passed away for their non-Muslim family. Then they will perform a janazah.
Like, you saying, is that permissible? Or is it haram? Is that what you're saying?
Is it haram? Yes.
Allahu A'lam.
Because
Sure.
it
Pay
happens.
attention to Quran. To say something is haram, you need dalil. You need clear evidence to say it is haram to do that. I can't say I don't know.
So you can't say that
I can't say it's haram.
or that it's permissible.
Like, so there's a qaida in the deen. Is that from the aspect of worship?
Not to my knowledge.
Like, so the principle of the deen goes as follows. Anything that has to do with worship, the asl al-huram. Anything that has to do with worshiping Allah, the origin is that it's haram unless you have dalil. Anything that is not considered worship, the origin is that it is halal until you have something that makes it impermissible. That's a principle in the religion. So I'm asking you, viewing the body, is that from worship? If it's not from worship, then it may fall into the aspect of something that is permissible until you have some text to say that it's impermissible. And Allah knows best. Allah Ta'ala. Now. Fadl. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Does that issue come underneath to stay away from doubtful matters?
It depends on that person.
Okay.
Something that may be doubtful for you may not be doubtful for someone else. Huh? And that's something that's very important because we have a tendency of projecting our feelings onto someone else. If something is doubtful to me and I see you doing, oh, brother, it's a doubtful affair. It's doubtful for you. It ain't doubtful for me. Right? So, in that context, if it is doubtful to you, then it's probably better to stay away from it. It's probably better to stay away from it. And even with that principle that we just mentioned, that is not a principle that we use arbitrarily. Like you just have your own discretion. Rather, it's always better to ask. It's always better to ask, to seek knowledge, to seek information or clarification. That's not an issue that I'm familiar with right now. Perhaps we can look more into it in detail.
Would you recommend putting that in the will? Not for that to happen?
You can put whatever you want in your will. You saying what I?
Yeah, would you recommend it?
What I
Would you
recommend?
advise that?
I don't know what to advise.
Because, I mean, I don't see what the purpose of having a viewing is if your body's being shrouded.
So somebody might say, what was the purpose of the companion seeing the Prophet ﷺ if his body was being shrouded? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
I understand that. This is before they took his body away, right?
Yeah, but what's the rules though? I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying one way or another. I'm saying I don't know. It's something that needs to be researched. Now,
When you make your, say like if you do a arrangement, right?
what do you mean arrangement?
In a funeral home,
Right?
you made an arrangement like you said, Abdul Latif said about the will.
Mm-hmm.
You could put in your will, because it's a paper from the state, it's notarized, so it's a document, a legal document. You could put in there, I don't want to be viewing, I don't want obituaries, I don't want this, I don't want that.
Okay.
And they'll abide by it. But if you don't have that, then your family is open for free game. Whatever they're going to do is going to do. And the majority of the times, because I work at a funeral home, alhamdulillah,
Inshallah.
that the majority of the times, it'd be the non-Muslim parents paying for the janazah of the Muslim. Right? So when they come to the room, they come to negotiation like, okay, listen, I'm not Muslim. I'm going to give them the janazah, but I need the viewing. Now, if I can't get the viewing, I'm taking where I'm from. So sometimes that pull, that tug of war.
I mean, listen, I get it, but here in life, we're talking about the issue of halal and haram. In order for us to say something is haram, we need dalil.
Oh no, I was saying if he said he wanted it in his contract, you could write in your contract, as long as it's notarized, is a legal document. So like we had a brother that passed away, right? Right, my older brother. And his document, he had the people he wanted watching, right? He wanted how he wanted his whole thing. His family was, upset, but they couldn't view him. They couldn't do no obituaries. He didn't want no limo. All he wanted was the brothers to pray over him and take him straight to the Now, if you have a legal document and you have it set up, then they're gonna follow because it's a legal document. It's a document of the law. But a lot of people don't have the affairs in order. Right. So when you die, they look to the Muslims to try to find out who you are. You know what I mean? What community you from? Are they raising up some money for you? Then your non-Muslim family members say, well, you know something? Y'all wanted Janaa'iz, y'all got to meet me 50-50. He going on display for an hour. That's what happens. That's what happens. happens though, because we don't have our affairs, we don't take that serious.
And
I mean,
I mean, that's like an imitation of the kuffar, right?
It's like what?
That's considered an imitation of the kuffars.
What do you mean imitation?
Imitation,
How?
having the view.
How? I don't know.
I mean,
What do you mean?
That's part of a funeral process for a non-Muslim. So how is that? That doesn't
So you-
correspond with.
I say sell them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's difficult to say that. It's difficult. Allahu A'lam. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that it's the Shabbat bil Kufar. Right? That's Sa'am. It's difficult to say that.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's difficult. I didn't even think about that till you just now said it. That never crossed my mind until just now. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible. Allahu A'lam. And this is why it's important to have classes like this, because you raise concerns and questions that maybe I may not have considered, others may not have considered, or maybe some of the brothers did consider it, and maybe some of the brothers did research on this topic. I just haven't, right? So when it comes to classes like this, one of the benefits is that whoever watches the class benefits from the class. Now you're going to leave, and now it's a question now. It's a topic. It came up. So now maybe one of the brothers in the city may have done research on this. All right, oh, this is what I found. And then you present it. And everybody, we study it, look at it, analyze it, see if it's applicable, if it's not applicable. Huh? And then lastly, in a case like that, we can contact some of the ulama. But you want to make sure that everyone did their due diligence. Huh? You want to do your due diligence. And what I mean by that is investigate the issue as best we can before you get on the phone and you call Ahlul Ilm about the issue. You want to be able to bring something of effort that you put into it. And this is with every issue. You don't want to get into the habit of every time something goes wrong, you want to call the scholar right away without doing your own due diligence. Because sometimes you may find, I'll give you an example, you may find an issue and there are two positions on an issue. Two positions. You, being from a particular place, you can look and say, where I come from, this issue here may be more applicable to our society, the culture that we live in, and it's it's an easier fit. Not to say that now we're saying both issues are on even, wasn't even. Whereas in another society, the other issue may be more relevant for their society. So when we call and say, Sheikh, what's the issue? He's going to give you what's relevant for him, and then you try to implement it here and it doesn't fit. And then we have people looking at Islam strange. And then we have people saying, I don't want to practice, it doesn't make sense. And then you can't. And this is why it's important for the student of knowledge and the people that teach that you do your due diligence before you get on the phone and you start calling. You want to make sure you totally understand the issue, so that when you ask about the issue, you can present the issue in a way that shows that you understand it. And you could mention evidence for or against it. It's not like you want to aid one position over the other. You want to mention all the evidence that you have. And you have the ulama, they want to mention their evidence, and this is how you learn. Huh? So, at any event, we're going to stop unless someone else has any more questions. No, further.
In the beginning of the class, you said that we was gonna have like a file cabinet with sign our wills, and we have the documents.
Yeah, I was waiting for you.
So we still gonna do that though?
I was waiting for you to do it, yeah. So whenever you bring it, just give it to this brother right there.
Oh, yeah. Nah.
Now, Father Sheikh.
Can I just say one thing, please?
Yes.
My name is Abdul Ali. I'm 57 years old. I want to say this. I've been Muslim since I was 16.
Lord.
I got more years behind me than I do in front of me. Please, take care of your affairs. Please, you gotta stop all that what the Sheikh was saying, what his brother saying. People put you on display. Take care of your affairs. Put off buying a Nike. Put off buying Michael Kors. Take care of your affairs. Trust me, I'm fearful every day. Death is coming to me quicker than it is to you.
Allah.
Because of my age. So take care of your affairs.
Jazakallah khair. No. Any other questions? خلاص. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
And for now, our kids said they were gonna smoke, you took their son.